Everyone. It is so good to have you here. Welcome to our December prep sessions, Teaching for Belonging, Physical and Emotional Adaptations That Work. Today's webinar explores the importance of having social, emotional, and physical adaptations in your health and PE lessons so that all students can have a sense of belonging and learning access to learning. In this prep sessions, we'll explore various resources of ours, highlighting the way that they're designed to integrate movement, visual, and SEL adaptations. So I'm Pixel, I'm with Hip Hop Public Health, and I'm joined by my colleague, Jennifer, who will co-facilitate today's session alongside our guest, Eileen Tirado, and Gabriel Montañez, who will be joining us. For those of you who are new or returning to this space, thank you so much for joining us. And if you're watching the recording, we're so glad that you tuned in. So Hip Hop Public Health is a nonprofit educational organization that was co-founded by legendary hip hop artist Dougie Fresh, known as the pioneer of human beatboxing, and neurologist Dr. Olajide Williams, also known as the Hip Hop Doc. Together, they started creating fun, catchy hip hop songs, grounded in science and designed to share important health messages with both young people and their families. Today, we work with many artists, and we have more than 250 free, evidence-informed, multimedia health resources that inspire people of all ages to care for themselves and those around them. You'll get to see some of those today. Prep Sessions is our monthly webinar series for educators. Each month, we spotlight one or sometimes a few of our toolkits and resources, walking you through practical tips and strategies you can use right away in the classroom. These sessions are short and focused, about 45 minutes, so you can get inspired, learn something new, and get back to your school prepared to use what you've learned. Here's what we have planned for today. The hook. Jennifer will interview our esteemed guest, Eileen Tirado. During this segment, we will get to know about Eileen's pioneering work with Hip Hop Public Health and how she found her way to her current role as an adapted PE leader. Then, during the verses, we will hear from Eileen as she walks us through important considerations and adaptations to make a lesson inclusive for students with various disabilities. She will give some examples from our collection of Hip Hop Public Health toolkits. And in the remix, finally, we'll get to hear from a teacher who works with Eileen, Gabrielle, who will share some highlights and tips. Then we'll open it up for questions and answers from you, the participants. So keep your questions in mind and start thinking about your next steps. Just a couple notes about key webinar features. So during this webinar, there are a few key features to be aware of. You can message us anytime using the chat feature. Just note that you can select whether you want to message the panelists and hosts or you want your question to go to everybody. You can also use the Q&A button to send us questions, which we can answer within that feature. In Zoom webinars, if this is your first one, like this, participants cannot see one another and we cannot see you as the participants. So before we get started, I want to briefly acknowledge two important terms that you'll hear: people with disabilities and disabled people. Today's webinar focuses on accommodations teachers can use to support diverse learners, including those who may be classified as people with disabilities or who identify as disabled people. So what's the difference? People with disabilities uses person-first language, which was developed in the 1970s through 1990s to reduce stigma by centering the person as separate from the disability. This phrasing is still widely used in education, medicine, and nonprofit settings. Disabled people uses identity-first language, which reflects the social model of disability and emphasizes disability as identity, culture, and political reality. It's more common in disability justice spaces, activism, and many online disability communities. Both terms can be correct. It's best practice for non-disabled people to follow the language a disabled person uses for themselves and to be aware that different spheres use different terminology. For this presentation, we'll use people with disabilities since it aligns with the educational framework of the work we're discussing. We encourage you to explore the topic further if it's new to you and continue learning the language preferred by different communities. So we'll get started. I will turn it over to Jennifer.
Thank you, Pixel. So yes, we are going to get started exploring the topics of adaptations and belonging with our special guest. So first, let's take a moment to consider why we're focusing on adaptations today. So health and physical education have not always been shared in ways that are inclusive. Many students and many communities are often left out of traditional approaches to health literacy and learning. And when students don't see themselves reflected, it impacts not just their learning, but their sense of belonging. And that's why hip hop public health adaptations for hip hop public health are not an add on. They are core to how we create our resources. And our goal is to make health education accessible and relevant and culturally connected for everyone, especially for communities who haven't always been included. So, whether we're talking about movement adaptations, visual supports, or strategic adjustments, these choices help students feel welcomed and capable. This philosophy goes back to Laurie Benson's early leadership of hip hop public health, shaping movement based resources like HYPE and our Special Olympics partnership, where inclusion and belonging were central from the start. Using music is also part of this same approach. Music lowers barriers, it reaches students emotionally and culturally. And hip hop in particular gives us tools for engagement, agency, and joy. And it helps young people feel like the learning space is also theirs. All of this ties into the work that we do with young people, which is not to just teach skills, but to also empower them as intergenerational health advocates. And as educators, when we make adaptations for inclusion and belonging, we're not just improving instruction, we're also helping young people see themselves as part of a broader movement toward health equity and community well-being. So our special guest today has a long history with hip hop public health and advocating for the needs of diverse students. Aileen Tirado has 19 years of teaching experience at the elementary, middle, and high school levels in New York and Florida. She currently works with 186 schools as the only adapted physical education research teacher for the school district of Palm Beach County, Florida. Her goal is to share inclusive strategies and curriculum, adapting equipment and safety modifications to lessons. She was named 2021's Shape America National Adapted Physical Education Teacher of the Year. And in addition to teaching and mentoring teachers and providing professional development, Eileen is a Shape Florida board member, an open national trainer, and works closely with community partners for special events. She is also Hip Hop Public Health's first health MC, and has been using these resources since early 2009 when she was looking for resources for her students online. So today she's going to share with us why she thinks adaptations matter in the classroom and how you too can use Hip Hop Public Health's resources to make sure that all students are seen and supported and valued. So welcome, Eileen Tirado, to this space. We're so happy that you're here.
Thank you so much for
Um,
having me. Thank you.
yeah, of course. Eileen, we know that you have an incredible history with hip hop public health, and I'd love for you to share with us a little bit about that history, what motivated you to try hip hop public health's resources, and what did it look like back then, back in 2009?
Yeah. So my journey with hip hop public health began in 2009, long before I ever imagined becoming the first MC. At the time, I was teaching in Brooklyn, New York at PS 131, and I was constantly looking for free, engaging, culturally relevant tools that could truly connect with my students. Many of them came to school carrying heavy emotional, social, and environmental challenges, and traditional health materials simply weren't speaking their language. So one night, while searching on the web, anything that could bring health education, PE to life, I stumbled upon Hip Hop Public Heals, which stands for Healthy Eating and Living in Schools. The moment I previewed the videos and resources, I knew that this was something different. This wasn't just content, but it was more of a bridge. They reflected on my students' culture, their music, their energy, their community, and presented health information in a way that was not only empowering, and it was empowering and not intimidating. My classroom transformed instantly. Students who were usually quiet became leaders in discussions. Students who struggled academically repeated health messages with confidence, and the excitement built quickly. And every year they would ask, is Easy AD and Artie Green coming? The hip hop stars that come to that amazing assembly every year? Those are my third and fifth graders. And these two hip hop stars would have about 600 third to fifth graders in the auditorium, and they would lead this amazing assembly. And the students were excited. They looked forward to it every year. And we were selected as the first Hip Hop Heals music video to be recorded at our elementary school, along with Laurie Benson and the hip hop doc, Dr. Williams, for the song The Anthem. So check it out on the website if you want to check out my school, it's there. So when I moved to Florida, I feared losing the ability to bring hip hop public health into my teaching until the launch of the Health MC Ambassador Program. So becoming the first MC brought my journey full circle. I'm so excited that not only was it an amazing program while I was in New York City and they came into my school building, but now I get to share these amazing resources with all of our schools throughout Palm Beach County and wherever I go, because I love to share all the amazing things that we definitely have for all of our teachers around the world.
Thank you, Eileen. So I did check out that Hip Hop Heals video, and all the students are going wild. They're so happy, they're so excited. It's clear that you created a culture of belonging in that space. How do you define belonging for folks that are listening?
To me, belonging means that every student, not just some, we have to make sure all of them feel seen, valued, and they're safe to be exactly where they are. In adaptive physical education or any physical education classes, belonging is not a bonus. It's the foundation of learning, participation, and joy. No student has to earn this place, it's already theirs. Differences are not obstacles, they're starting points for creativity. Every student can participate meaningfully, even if the pathway looks different for each child. Identity and culture are honored and not neutralized. As the district's adaptive PE resource teacher supporting 186 schools, I see firsthand how belonging shows up in a classroom. It's in the teacher who adjusts the rules so a student using a wheelchair can play with confidence. It's the peer who cheers when a classmate uses an AAC device to share an answer. It's in the environments where students don't feel othered, but instead feel connected. Belonging is not a feeling that students stumble upon. It's something we intentionally build. And when we build it, everything becomes possible.
Exactly. And one of the ways that I know you've been able to create spaces of belonging is through physical and emotional adaptations. Why are these types of adaptations so important in the classroom? And how has using hip hop public health resources supported you in meeting those physical and emotional needs of students?
Physical and emotional adaptations are essential because they remove the barriers that we see and that they're unseen. They prevent students from accessing learning. In adaptive physical education, we constantly look at the equipment, the space, the instruction, the environment, our expectations to figure out how are we going to make success possible for every learner. But we must also recognize the emotional safety that is equally important. Students can't move, learn, or connect if they feel overwhelmed, unseen, or misunderstood. Hip Hop Public Health has been a powerful tool in bridging both the physical and the emotional needs of students. I once worked with a student who was struggling deeply with emotional regulation. Traditional health lessons were a challenge. He often shut down when he was confused and overstimulated. When I introduced a Hip Hop Public Health music video, something shifted. The rhythm anchored him. The visuals helped him process information, and the messages delivered in a culturally grounded, empowering way gave him language he didn't have before. Weeks later, during a difficult moment, he quietly repeated a line from one of those videos. And you know the hooks in these songs. So our kids are constantly repeating these hooks as they're moving around the hallways. So that was his self-regulation strategy, and it worked. Teachers who use Hip Hop Public Health tell me the same thing. Students participate more freely, the lessons feel more accessible, the energy in the room becomes more positive. Move how you want to move. That's one of the main things we're going to talk about later. But students who usually first struggle to engage usually becomes easier and easier as they're exposed to more of these type of lessons where they feel emotionally safe. And that's what helps them continue to thrive.
Mm. I mean, what did you think when you heard the student share that line like to themselves?
Like I just started repeating it with them, you know. I'm like
Do you
dancing in
remember
my
what it?
I'm dancing in my own head, you know, like
Oh,
well, we had hip hop heel song, which obviously in my school that was our theme song. So my kids enjoyed repeating that. It was some of the nutritional songs that we had from back then as well. So yeah.
that's awesome. That's awesome. And I know a big part of your role is to visit schools and to support teachers in being adaptive and being inclusive and being responsive in real time to the needs of their students. What do you see as their role in this effort to create spaces um, that are safe, like you said, emotionally safe, where they feel like they belong and they're included, where the material is accessible to them, that they're getting these lessons in ways that best support them and their learning and their needs? What is
I
the role of
try
educators?
I try as I'm working alongside many different educators from all different age levels and different types of schools and cultures, reminding them that they're the architectures of their school to create that belonging environment. They design the physical space, the emotional climate, and the expectations that will make students feel included or excluded. So, our role is to adapt before students struggle, not after. Let's celebrate diversity instead of simply accommodating it. Use our
Mm,
culturally relevant tools like hip hop public health. Let's collaborate with families, therapists, specialists. When working with our students, it's not just one person. We're a whole team of specialists in our school to learn what's best for all of our students and giving them as many opportunities rather than limiting things. Do we give them enough options? Modeling acceptance, empathy, and inclusive language is definitely going to create that school culture. Although we can't control every challenge a student faces, we can control the environment that they walk into every day. So I just try to help remind us as we come into a school environment, reminding the teachers we set the tone. So making sure that we stay with that energy, commit to these accessible places, culturally grounded instruction, and inclusive mindsets.
yeah. And for a teacher who doesn't know where to start, what would you say?
Well, it starts with your smile, it starts with your inviting words, it starts with your getting to know them, making sure that you tell them you belong here, you matter, your presence adds value. When a student feels that from you, they are going to just grow and grow and grow. So, just trying to remind teachers that we have such an important and valuable job each and every single day. What we do affects many for the rest of their lives. For the rest of their lives. So, definitely love to be able to work alongside all of our amazing educators.
Yeah. And so to close this out, what is one message for the people that are watching, for the people who were just like you, one day kind of browsing the internet and came across Hip Hop Public Health? What is a message that you want to leave them with as we continue to explore belonging in the context of education?
There's always a way, you know, whether we find something online, whether we're talking to another specialist in the school, we reach out to a parent, we're connecting with the other teachers in the school building. There's always a way. Let's work together. A lot of times, sometimes we think we need to be a cohesive team in the building environment. So just keeping that kind of message, there's always a way, find a way, look for the resources, the people that are going to make the students' day successful. We're not always perfect. I don't know everything, but I will do my research. I will talk to many other specialists, and I will find a way that will make whatever I'm looking for to adapt, or if I'm looking for a new resource, I'm always open to new things and talking to other educators, right? We have amazing social media platforms and different ways of of talking to other educators to find out other resources, and just being willing to adapt is going to be very important to inclusion and giving that health equity, so that it'll go from the classroom into the school, into the community, and hopefully continue on into the students' lives. And as a health MC, let me tell you, it gives you great power with these lessons. The students are going to be singing these songs. They're going to have these hooks. You know, you're going to have a special bond. So this just continues to connect you and continue to connect, to amplify their voice within your class, you know, and they're going to know that they're seen, that they belong, and that they matter. So make sure you sign up for a health MC in your school.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much, Eileen, for being here, for sharing your journey and your words of wisdom with us today. It's clear that you have a very powerful voice, and you're a very, very strong advocate for children, because through your work, as you said, you amplify the voices and the needs of students that can often go unheard. So thank you for your work, and thank you for your commitment to being a health MC all of these many years later. And we're so lucky and excited that you're going to be sharing even more of your expertise and your wisdom in a little bit. So thank you again. And for now, I'm going to pass it on to Pixel.
I am going to put up our slides. Eileen, I really love what you said about feeling connected to the students. I didn't know the hip hop public health work when I was a teacher, but I do know that feeling of like a favorite lesson makes you feel closer to each other, and like by like the ability to connect and teach just grows when the lessons land. So excuse me, I loved hearing about that. So before we jump into looking at some of the lessons, I want to just share a few details about our lessons. So you can find and access for free all of the toolkits we are going to be talking about by logging into our Learning Studio and registering as a Health MC. It's a 2-minute process. It asks you to share basic information that we use with our funders to keep our materials free for all educators. And after registering, you'll have access to all of our resources and receive our occasional newsletter with upcoming workshops, newly launched toolkits, and opportunities to get involved. So if you turn to the chat, and it is available below on the website, if you're watching this on repeat, you will find the login. So a few things to know about our lessons. A quick tour. Once you log in, you'll see that each lesson page has an easy to find and follow information. So you can see the toolkit name, the grade or grades that are options and recommended, the learning objectives, and then all the toolkit materials, which are all downloadable and customizable. So you can see the lesson plan itself, the slides, a pre and post learning check, which is optional, and a letter to go home to the families. Once you click on the slides for a lesson, those slides will launch in Google Slides, which allows you to customize and adapt the lessons to your particular needs. Each lesson has slides that use a combination of keywords and helpful visuals to make learning easier for the students. And you'll also find that each slide has talking points and additional context notes, for educators, listed both in the facilitator notes right below each slide, which you can see here, and they're also listed separately in the lesson plan next to thumbnails of each slide. So I will turn the mic over to Eileen again, who will highlight various resources. I will jump in alongside to help at some point, and we'll talk about them from the perspective of adaptations. So over to you, Eileen.
Thank you so much, Pixel. Again, I'm really excited to be here to talk about what I'm most passionate about, and that is teaching for belonging. And using the great Learning Studio as you become a hip hop public health MC, you're going to have all these amazing adaptations that are embedded in all your lessons. So let's begin with what adaptations are. They are small but intentional changes to instruction, environment, equipment, or expectations that remove the barriers and allow more students to access learning successfully. They do not change what we're teaching, they simply change how students participate, communicate, move, and engage. Adaptations help ensure that every learner can be successful regardless of ability, learning style, sensory needs, or emotional regulation challenges. In the next session, we're going to look at the 3 core strategies that help make learning more inclusive for a wide range of students. We'll focus on visual supports, movement adaptations, and social emotional learning strategies, each of which offer multiple entry points for diverse learners. These strategies reduce cognitive load, increase clarity, and create more ways for students to participate and engage, especially those who benefit from structure, predictability, or alternative modes of learning. As we move through each strategy, I'll share concrete examples you can use right away in your classroom, and we'll talk about how these supports can be layered or combined. The goal isn't to change your entire lesson plan, it's to add small intentional tools that help more students access content and feel successful. You'll see that hip hop public health lessons already highlighted have adaptations built into them. Movement adaptations offer multiple ways for students to participate physically, so activities meet diverse bodies and needs. This matters because not only students can or want to do the same type of movement, offering options increases access, autonomy, and comfort. Some examples of movement adaptations include seated rhythm alternatives, upper body only movements, gentler variations of routines, and choice menus with active lessons. A practical tip: when introducing movement, take a few seconds to offer 2 or 3 participation options to expand engagement. Let's look at one of the toolkits, Open Up, Level Up. The following slides come from the movement-based SEL lesson, Open Up, Level Up. This is for grades 3 to 5, but adaptable for other grades, supports students in sharing their feelings as they discover the importance of opening up and strategies for asking for help. Using the hype break, Open Up, Level Up, they also learn about the value of movement for expression. You move how you move. This is one of my favorite slides. This appears in many of the hip hop public health lessons, and it sets the tone right away. You move how you move. It reminds students and us that movement doesn't look the same for everyone. We all have different bodies, abilities, and styles, and every way of moving is valid. What's great is that one slide already models our 3 inclusive strategies. First, it's a visual support. Students see images of different types of movers, someone standing, someone seated, and someone using a mobility device. The picture communicates inclusion instantly without needing a lot of words. Next, a strategy is adaptations. This message gives students permission to choose the movement that works for them. Full body, upper body only, seated, or supported. It's a built-in reminder that there are many right ways to participate. And SEL integration. The statement helps students feel safe, confident, and accepted before the lesson even starts. It tells them, you belong here. Your movement is enough. The emotional safety is what allows real engagement to happen. So this slide is so simple, but it's doing a lot of powerful work. It's setting the tone for belonging. It shows students multiple options, and it helps create an environment where everyone can participate successfully. Another important slide is getting grounded. You're also going to find this one helps to prompt students to get grounded or for transition. Why is this an inclusive strategy? This helps students take a micro moment to connect with themselves. The teacher gives prompts to find a stable place to sit or stand and connect solidly, like a tree, like a building, or other visual imagery that would help a student feel stable. So let's go back to the Open Up, Level Up using the visual guide right here to help you. The lesson pre-teaches the moves through video stills before playing the video. Teachers walk through each move so students have time to try them out slowly. This can build safety in the room as students see each other moving in different ways from one another at a slow and manageable pace. So let's try the hype break along with the video and the debrief.
What's up, everybody? I'm Mark.
I'm Jamie.
I'm Ixia.
This is Breaking It Down. If you're seated, you're gonna stay with Ixia. If you're standing, you've got Jamie on your side, and if you're going all out, I'm your guy. Your move right now is open up and level up. So take a wide stance here and just get grounded. Yeah, feel that beat. I've got my feet just slightly bigger than my shoulders, right? Shoulder width apart. Now I'm gonna lean to the side. I'm gonna open up. Now level up. You go up. Yes, now open wide. Back to center, get tall, and then get low. Open, close, get high.
After practicing the moves, the video is played for students to try their best to follow along. In this video, as in most of the Hip Hop Public Health videos, students have the three models to follow. As we saw, someone seated, standing, and moderate energy, and someone going full out. The video offers visual supports around participating in all these different ways, so you could easily expand upon options further. So, as we played this video, you got a sense of it. Now we're gonna play the video with one feature of this video is like the seated dancer could be relatable model for students in wheelchairs and many other reasons a student might remain seated. All right, create a new move, a supportive visual slide. After students learn the dance, they are guided to create a new move, one for open up and one for level up. You can see how the slide design and layout helps you make these instructions easy to follow by creating a visual guide. This slide can remain on the screen for students to reference while they're doing their group work to support their execute functioning. Let's talk more about visual supports. Visual supports offer clear, concrete cues about what's happening, what's expected, or what comes next. They help us reduce cognitive load, support working memory, and make abstract ideas more accessible for many learners. For example, you can use simplified icons, image sequences, color coding, and still frames from videos to clarify steps or anchor new concepts. One practical tip is if you find yourself explaining something verbally more than once, then that's a natural place to add a visual. Let's look at some example slides that illustrate these best practices.
I'm going to jump in and join you, Eileen, so I can talk about 20 seconds or more, which is one of my personal favorite lessons. And we also are going to get to hear Gabrielle show some examples of this later. The hand washing lesson, 20 seconds or more, has a lot of examples of visual supports that we can highlight. The lesson is designed for grades 3 to 5, but it's easily adaptable for older or younger students. One thing I love about this lesson is that it starts with a tutorial with the Hip Hop Public Health characters that explain and illustrate the 5 key steps to hand washing. And in this 1-minute video, it breaks down the information with visual guidance for students who need help understanding the concepts. The visual clarity is not only helpful for students with learning disabilities, but also for students who are English language learners.
Welcome,
Here's a sense of
everyone.
it.
Today we're going to learn an important skill that helps keep us healthy and happy. Proper hand washing. Step 1. Wet your hands with clean, running water. Make sure the water is warm, but not too hot. Step 2.
We won't go through the whole video right now, but you can find this in the lesson. Students then have a visual prompt to help them brainstorm the steps to hand washing. So in this activity, they can use both their prior knowledge and also what they just learned in the video, which also helps level the learning playing field. The process of discussion brings in other forms of learning, oral, kinesthetic, and social. And an educator note in this slide reminds teachers that some people are more sensitive to dirty or sticky hands than others, and that those students might need or want to wash their hands more often than the typically recommended times. So which is a great thing to point out for learners during this lesson. Then the 5 steps are written down so that everyone can see and read them. Then they are simplified into 1-word steps, and students can follow along visually with this process of simplifying the steps. To take it one step further, then students grasp the concept by tracing their hand and then labeling each finger with one of the 5 steps of hand washing. And this helps not just the visual learners, but also the drawing connects with kinesthetic learners. Then students are guided to label their own hand with the 5 steps using a slide that instructs and demonstrates the finished product to help students follow along. Then the teacher plays the 20 seconds or more video, and the video teaches the steps for hand washing through the lyrics. Students will recognize what they just learned in the lyrics since it was just pre-taught. And in addition, the video teaches and supports one important step about hand washing, which is my favorite part of the lesson, which is that the recommendation for wash for 20 seconds, and 20 seconds is how long the hook or the chorus of the song is. So students practice listening to the hook, and then it's also available in Spanish and ASL. They then get to learn the hook by seeing and repeating the lyrics, and the slide allows the song to play along while they learn the hook itself. So they can sing the hook to themselves as a way to remember how long 20 seconds is. Some students learn the ABC.
Wash your hands, everybody, and everybody, wash your hands. 20 seconds. Come on.
So then the students get to try out practice their hand washing in a freeze dance style activity. So the students dance around as they listen to the song, and when they hear the hook, they stop moving and air wash their hands for 20 seconds so that they can internalize the timing of 20 seconds and go back to dancing around. And while they're washing, they can practice the front, back, and side, what they just learned. The slide provides the visual for the activity to help make giving instructions easy to understand, which links to what Eileen had just said, that if you have to repeat the instructions more than once, you probably need to write it down. So it's up here in case students forget what they should be doing. I don't want to play that again yet. I mean, I do want to, but for the sake of this, we will keep going. And so that we can look at our third category, SEL integration.
Finally, we will highlight SEL strategies that help students regulate emotion, build resilience, and feel safe and grounded enough to learn. SEL strategies support inclusion because predictable rituals and low-stake emotional check-ins particularly support students with disabilities, chronic illness, trauma, or anxiety. Some examples of SEL integration you can include are the micro moments of grounding, the emotional labeling prompts, simple call and response routines. If I say hip, you say hop. That's one of those simple ones. And reflect questions tied to content. A practical tip: short, concise SEL practices act as a tiny anchors throughout a lesson and support all learners. Let's take a look at some of these examples of SEL integration in the Hip Hop Public Health lessons. So the first toolkit that we're going to look at is Hype, Brush It Off. You'll see it in the link. This toolkit has several examples of SEL integration as it is the backbone of this lesson topic and concept. It's designed for 3 to 5, like we said, but it's also adaptable for older and younger students. This lesson teaches students the dance move for Brush It Off and ties it to the SEL skill of letting go of small things that bother us while identifying bigger problems that need adult help. Let's look at a few of these slides that frame this lesson. This slide introduces the class attention signal, which appears in many Hip Hop Public Health lessons. Attention signals are simple call and response routines that help the class refocus after activities. They act as a micro moment of grounding, a quick reset that brings everyone back together before moving. These predictable routines create a sense of safety and structure, which is especially important for students with trauma histories, anxiety, executive functioning challenges, or difficulty with transitions. But honestly, they all benefit all students. Those moments of cohesion, support, regulation builds classroom community and help maintain a smooth, inclusive learning flow. So let's unpack the meaning of Brush It Off. In this lesson, students are guided to unpack. It guides to explain that brushing off something means small challenges or problems that we may encounter during the day and the negative feelings or thoughts or untrue statements that may come up in those challenging situations. The lesson expands on this definition and gives students an opportunity to personalize the idea. You can imagine how helpful it might be in your classroom and individual students to learn this shared concept. And then students get to learn the dance. We won't be playing this video for today, but if you're interested, it is in the queue. I encourage you to follow up and watch it. After watching the video, students get to ground themselves again, do a few cycles of box breathing to cool down. Again, another example of how to use a routine to check in and refocus. Then students are asked reflection questions such as, how did you feel before the dance compared to now? Again, the use of reflection questions are an SEL strategy. This lesson wraps up with students learning about healthy ways to brush off small challenges in their lives. Students have time to brainstorm, practice the new skill, and identify how to get help with problems that feel either too big or too important to push aside. We always want to center how important it is for students to seek help with their trusted adults. You can see how this entire lesson is created as a SEL integration lesson using many of the strategies. Now, I want to invite on a fellow teacher, Gabriel Montanes. Gabriel is the 2025 Shape Florida Teacher of the Year of Forest Hill Elementary, where he's been working there for the last 5 years. For 8 years, he also coached gymnastics, guiding 4 of his top athletes to earn their own gymnastics scholarships. In the school he currently works at, he has a large population of ELL, or English language learners, and students with autism, and has been very successful in using hip hop public health lessons. To meet the diverse needs of learners, he implements universal design learning principles, which means differentiating his instruction through the use of visuals, technology, small group and individual activities, and student leadership opportunities. He integrates tools as posters, smart boards, and follow the leader videos that reinforce expectations and encourage self-directed learning. Partnerships with organizations like Hip Hop Public Health, Special Olympics, Athletes for Hope, and All Kids Bike enrich his lessons by providing authentic, real-world experience that inspires students and create lasting skills and memories. Is going to share a few highlights and tips about using Hip Hop Public Health materials in the classroom.
Gracias, Aline, and thank you, Hip Hop Public Health, for creating research that truly move our students and even ourselves. I don't know you guys, but that rhythm for me just get in my veins and just start moving. So your learning studio is a game changer. Everything we need is right there, as you can see on the lessons that Pixel have been posting there. It has visual, it has music, it has movement, it has assessment. Even you can send stuff to the families at home, which is super nice. It's a plug and play, PE and help for everybody. So this week we use the 20 seconds or more hand watching, as you can hear on the little preview that we put over there. I also create my own that a little later you're gonna have a chance to see what I do in my classrooms. And wow, the impact was right away. The students were singing while they were watching their hands. They were when it was time for them just to show the move, so they weren't all out. Nobody was left out because everybody was doing it at the same time. Everybody was paying attention at what they were doing. We read lyrics and then we prepare our students just to get them to say what we were going to say during the lyrics. We were able to practice before, and then it was super easy just to follow along the video. And the best part, every student was connected. For my English language learner, which I'm part of that too, the Spanish video hooked them right away. I don't know, but Latin music for me, I'm from Puerto Rico, so it just hit different. So they understood, they participate, and their ritual kept them right with us. And then when I switched to English, right there. In-time vocabulary reinforcements through music and movement. So for my student with autism, the ASL version was pure magic. Just creating visuals. We practice. We did them all. That you're gonna have a chance if you log in. You're gonna see the videos. You get to practice with them. It's just they just love the hand signs and use them just to communicate each part of the routine. The visuals and movement for me is everything. For all my students, music get them hype. Again, I bring that sazon from Puerto Rico, so I move with them. So that gives them a little example there as well. That I'm there, join with them as well, and movement keeps them focused. Lyrics build literacy and visual support comprehension. The easy routine builds confidence. It is held PESEL, language learning, and all in just one presentation. Even during our test free week, which we're doing that right now, student we have to stay in the classroom. I was able to pull in, bringing the smart board, and then we were moving, we were learning, we were singing, we were practicing rear high-end habits, which the next day that I walk in that classroom, the first thing that we're doing, that we're just watching their hands, which it was amazing. So my message for every single education today, if you want a lesson that teaches itself, reaches every learner and bring inside engagement, hip hop public health, is your go-to. It's free. You just have to create. You just have to sign in, and you have everything for free build in there, and you're able to edit any part of the presentation. You're able to add your own, which I usually love to do that part. And hip hop over here makes health education loud, clear, inclusive, and unforgettable. You're gonna see that now. That music is gonna stay playing in the back of your hand, and every single time you're gonna watch your hands, you gotta remember that hook right there that is going to remind you that you gotta watch your hands 20 seconds or more. So you're gonna have a chance to see my classroom right there, some of my students. And if you need anything,
What's up, y'all? This is Doug E. Fresh, and I'm back again with Ted Smooth and a lot of my friends. Come on.
Si te deja de cuidar. Epidemia, pandemia, distancia social, sin manosear.
Uno, dos, tres.
Lávense la mano todo el mundo y que todo el mundo lave las manos. Lávense la mano todo el mundo y que todo el mundo lave las manos. Latino, lávense la mano. Pa' 20 segundos, lávense la mano. Con mucho jabón, lávense la mano. Cuídense mucho y lávense la mano. Primeramente, escucha atentamente. Con mucho jabón, lávate suavemente. Con la izquierda, derecha, a la izquierda. Ven, dame coro, canta letra por letra. Quédate en tu casa, tranquilo y quieto. Pero si vas a salir, quédate 2 metros. Aparte de la gente, la guagua y el tren. Con máscara pa' tapar la nariz, ven. Lávense la mano todo el mundo y que todo el mundo lave las manos. Lávense la mano todo el
There you go. You saw that was a free time when they were able to create their own move. You saw it right there. It's just is amazing.
Gabriel, thank you so much for taking the time to make that video and giving us a glimpse of your classroom. As someone who helps create the lesson plans, I don't get to travel and see them land all over where all you are using them. So it's super special for me in particular, as I'm sure others also have learned a lot from it. And thank you so much for coming to share what you've been up to in your classroom.
Thank you for having me, Pixel.
We're gonna move on to the remix, where you have space to consider how you might bring these lessons to your students and ask any questions. So if you do have any questions for Gabriel, Eileen, or myself and Jennifer, please put them in the chat, and we will take a couple minutes to answer it as we then move to wrap up for the night. Let's see here. I see one question coming in. It says, how do I provide accommodations without singling students out? I'm sure this is a common question. Eileen, would you want to take this?
Sure. So I would build accommodations into the whole class routine always. This is every day, right? We want students to be able to have choices, whether it's visuals, movement options, always have this available for everyone. So it becomes the norm. Even your students will come up with different ways of having options at times. The universal design approach allows your students to use the supports they need without drawing attention to themselves, and it reinforces an environment where all ways of learning and moving are accepted.
Um, Gabrielle, maybe you'll want to, there's one other question. I don't have extra time. How do I do this realistically? I'm not sure if that teacher means to plan or in the classroom, but I'm sure both are relevant.
Sure. We always run into this one. Most inclusive strategies are tiny adjustment, not major rewrites. Think in terms of simple add-ons on visual cue, one movement variation, one SEL anchor, start with what feels doable and build gradually. With consistency, these small shifts have a big impact, and hip hop public health lessons are already are embedded with many of this support just for you.
And I'm sure many teachers like you and Eileen, like you have Eileen to turn to, have supports in your district, right? So you can reach out to the APE support or fellow APE teachers to be able to share tips and strategies, especially if you're newer to this. There's resources in your community, I would imagine. Eileen, anything you want to add about that as someone who provides resources?
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely a resource. So if you're looking to connect, definitely
Look
you
at
can
that.
do that as well. We can share my contacts within this space, so that would be great. And if anybody wants to reach out with any questions, would love to help you.
Great. Let's see here. It looks like there's one last question. What should I do if I'm trying an SEL strategy and students don't participate? Ooh, I know I was always afraid of this as a teacher, to try something new. What if it just crickets, silence? Do either of you want to take that?
Well, I would think try to keep your SEL routines low pressure and predictable. Many students need time before they feel engaging in emotional check-ins. So offering like quick participation formats like gestures like thumbs up, thumbs down, numbers, and avoiding forced sharing. As routines become familiar and the trust grows in your room, participation is going to naturally increase.
I will also
So
add
not worry
on.
too much. Oh, go ahead, Gabriel.
So sorry, Pixel. So I will also add on, since hip hop public health just have different ways of the same movement that gives that choice for the student. Let's say that I'm not that loud student, just like me, that love to be in front of everybody moving. So I can stay sitting down, and at the same time, I can still do the movement and be participated. So that just brings that option for every student, that you don't have to follow along what he's doing. You can create your own, which is amazing.
And we do have one last question. Let's see, I believe. So I'm working on a new curriculum for 2026. What is the best format that you guys have used in classroom that have been easy to present and make the impact more streamlined?
Well,
So I think this person is asking, what is the best format? Sean, if you would like to come on audio, I can invite you on if you want to clarify your question further about the best format. I can invite you to do that. Let's see. Allow. I have opened your mic if you would like to add a clarifying explanation.
Hi. Hello.
Hi.
Yeah, we hear you, Sean.
Most love, you guys. I've been working with youth for over 32 years, and I'm just getting way more serious in impact of at-risk youth through hip-hop, through my graffiti outreach, and at-risk youth problems with gangs and drugs and stuff like that. And dealing with those kind of kids is really or hyperactivity and mental wellness and a lot of things. It's really tough to keep them focused, and having a strong presentation and workshop is the key to keep them aligned with having clarity and impact and making like I love what you guys have said earlier. You want the kids to feel good and empowered and not sort of stiff and critical, to where they feel that they're at home, and then they can be creative and not feel persecuted or convicted or they want to feel good, to where they are growing with something that's going to make them feel better and impact them through their critique of whatever craft it be, making music, clothing design, graphic design, just mental wellness of being sound, etc. So like video or a screen thing with the clicker and um, uh, a curriculum that has the graph layout for topics and how to impact them. Do you guys use any certain PDFs, or how do you guys go about that?
So Sean, I usually create just like Hip Hop Public Health help you out, that you see that presentation that you can follow along. That's how I plan my classes. So for me, for my students, I have EBD students with those students are sometimes a little hard to reach on. I played the
Yeah,
music just for them, and they were all wild. They were
yeah,
the last class that you saw right there. Whenever you gave them that freedom, that hey, you can move however you want,
yes,
that was amazing. And previous to that, we all practice the watch in your hands, and even today, we had the chance just to use the ASL. So we did the sign language. Some of them, again, that's one of my goals, trying to learn that. But just giving them that opportunity, and for me, I just create the lessons that way so they can see it. I also, they call it like my twin brother, which is in the smart board, that I'm able to play it while I am available, just to help the students
yeah.
move or whatever they need. For me, that's how I do it.
And
So on
now,
the smart board, what is the program that you use? Is it PDF or what is it?
So I use Google Slides. There are plenty people use PowerPoints or any other resource like that. But for me, I use Google Docs, that I create my lessons that way. Just the same way as Hip Hop Public Health. Just give it to you, and they're all set up there. If you want to include something, you can add it on. If you want to take something out, you can do that as well.
Going to share our closing slide, um, so that you can reach out to us at info@hiphoppublichealth.org, and we will, one of us here will personally respond to you. We're happy to jump on a call with you, talk you through what we have, if you have any questions about accessing it or what to use. Also, our next prep session, we have one. It's the first week of every month. The next one's very exciting. It's about big energy, big vision, goal setting for a year of growth. So the way that Gabrielle highlighted your work, the way that Eileen, you have built your teacher career, we're highlighting the ways that teachers can, by bringing on guests, expand on what you do in the classroom in whichever way you've been dreaming of doing. So like you were just saying, Sean. So we invite all of you to come back in the new year to join us, and let us know if you have any questions.